Hey guys, thanks for joining me on an early morning drive, leaving Philly and heading down I-95 on a beautiful, crisp December morning. With the release of my first book, I've been invited to come down to Washington, D.C. for a discussion with former UFC fighter, fellow Green Beret, and longtime friend Tim Kennedy. Having lived in D.C. for years, I always feel nostalgia coming back. The city seems to be in constant flux, and I enjoy seeing the ever-changing neighborhoods. I always make a point to see some of the timeless landmarks as well. But this trip is about catching up with my old friend Tim, who did me a great honor by choosing my book for this month's Tim Kennedy Book Club. We'll be sitting down for a live interview on Instagram, where we talk a little bit about our military past and the contents of my newly released book, 1,000 Miles to Santiago.
The only time that we were apart was this 3 months for MOS phase.
Okay.
Where he became an 18 Echo and I became an 18 Bravo.
Got it.
Then we came back together to do language school together, to then go to Robin Sainte together, to then graduate together. And of our entire basic training, which were all 18 X-rays,
Right.
there was, did you know this? 11
11
that passed, that put our beret on at the same time. Some of them might have passed later.
like later on, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 11 of how many?
60.
60, yeah.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's actually high. It's higher than the normal.
Oh, oh yeah. Well, I think because we had this nucleus.
Yep.
Yeah, and that, it's like,
It's normally 8 out of 100.
Jeez.
We had 11 out of 60.
Wow.
We're live streaming, right?
Yeah, it's alive at 10:30.
Oh, so we have 13 minutes.
Oh yeah, we've got time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna go 30 minutes. Is that what it is? So we'll talk. I'll do like a quick intro about the book club, the book, how I know you, and then we'll we'll just jam for
Yeah.
20 minutes. Did you look at this? So these are kind of like the takeaway talking points.
And this is based
I
on
know
your
you
year.
go.
Yeah, or
I'll
I can
do that.
use it with you. Ready? Perfect.
In 6 minutes, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're gonna go live with my buddy Sean Heron and his amazing new book, 1,000 Miles to Santiago. In 6 minutes now, we're gonna go live and definitely tune in. We're gonna be talking about special forces and what Sean and I, the hoodlum rat stuff that we used to do.
Did he hang pretty tough with y'all though before the throwing up? No, not even a little.
So we are doing the first installment of the Tim Kennedy Book Club. Follow it because the whole point of this book club is to highlight amazing people telling amazing stories, to inspire, explore, and to really truly live, like I think, the life that we espouse people to live, right? Like we, to be sincere, not be hypocritical, and to tell you the truth. I try to do all the things that I want people to live, because this life is such a beautiful, fulfilling life when you fully commit to it. And so this is the second book we have ever done, and it's written by one of my very, very good friends, a roommate, a former special forces, all of the things. So Sean and I, we went to basic training together, and then after basic training, we went to infantry school together, and then we went to airborne school together, and then we rode the bus from infantry school to Fort Bragg, where we did special operations preparation course together, and then we went to special forces selection together, and it was a 18 X-ray only selection. Mm-hmm. And then from Special Forces Selection, when we got selected, we went to SOPC 2, which was a preparation course only for 18 X-rays, another attritter. So this is a time where peak war is happening, and the 18 X-ray program is where they take, at the time they were really targeting collegiate athletes, which Sean was, and they would try and get us to enlist to go into Special Forces. And so almost our entire selection class were collegiate athletes, which was cool. There's good things about that and bad things about that. So then we went to Special Operations Preparation Course 2, which is the SUT training, Small Unit Tactics training. And then went to Small Unit Tactics together, which is phase 2 of the Q course. Then our only time apart was when we went to our MOS training, where Sean became an 18 Echo and I became an 18 Bravo. It was at this point, in between SUT and phase 3, our MOS training, where we got a house together. And we were in a really rough area. We're all specialists. We're like E3s, E4s. So we could not afford a great house, and we got a really sketch house in a really sketch neighborhood. We're the only white kids in the whole entire block, but they were proud to have us.
They were scared of us a little because we had our shaved heads, so we were a little off.
Yeah.
It was definitely a neighborhood that would not deliver pizza after 9 p.m. So we had to go get it ourselves.
Total truth. Like if we called Domino's, which we're privates, they would not come and give food to us. They're like, nope, sorry, can't deliver to your neighborhood. You can come pick it up. So then after our MOS training, we went to language school together. And from language school together, we did a new pilot. How many different pilot things did they make us
Spanish
do?
was, again, 10 weeks versus 18 weeks to try to do it to us. Yeah.
So they did it. They picked, again, these were, we're all college kids, and we all had good scores, so they thought they could make us learn faster. No, bad decision. Failed pilot program. So instead of an 18 weeks language program, they gave us a 10-week language program. We tested out, and we went to a new complete language immersion, and this is one of the pinnacle Green Beret moments, which is phase 4 Robin Sage. So this is a full guerrilla exercise in unconventional warfare, where you have to infill, you have to jump your gear in as if you're doing a real infill into a non-permissive or semi-permissive battle space. You have to find your G-Chief leader, which is the indigenous commander. You have to link up with him, you have to build rapport, and this whole entire mission that they're testing you on, we have to do in our target language. So we infill, and it was a mess. Unbeknownst to them, we had been together for so long now that we were gangsters. We were rule breakers, and we had not been properly trained to be soldiers yet. We have only done special operations. So we had informants that were co-located with the instructors that were giving us bits of intel and information. So we had this wild Robin Sage experience where we knew when they were going to blow us out of camp. So we finished Robin Sage, and we donned our Green Berets together. Our first, congratulations, you guys are now Green Berets. We go to SEER school together. We cheat at SEER school as well. And after finishing SEER school, the final ceremony from graduating the Q course and the donning of the Green Beret is when you get your orders to what group you're going to go to. Everybody's lobbying to what unit is going to be going to war first. And all of us were kind of like competing. Hey, I heard this battalion's going to be deploying, or this company's going to be deploying. And you have a very good idea because of your target language what group you're going to go to, because each group works in a theater, and that language obviously has to be spoken in that theater. So if you learn French, you're going to go to Africa or you're going to go to Europe. If you're going to be learning Spanish, you're going to be going to 7th group. So we had learned Spanish, so we were going to go to 7th group, and we got our orders, and lo and behold, we're going to 7th group together. And that's a quick down and dirty
Synopsis, yeah.
of
Spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, our first 3 years we spent a lot of time, and then war and separation. So I didn't see Sean for a long time, and he ends up in DC. And there's some that's not in the book. Some fun life stories about Sean taking this journey which leads to 1,000 Miles to Santiago, which is the book that we're going to talk about. And from falling in love in South America to starting a business, lots of things that Green Berets do. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in a lot of special operations guys, and we fall in love easy. Which leads to this book, 1,000 Miles to Santiago. I love this book for a variety of reasons, and I picked this book not just because Sean's my friend, but it's a true story, this journey that he takes. This is not a misnomer. This was an actual pilgrimage to Santiago, and in this book you get to when you read it, I'll ask you put in the context of who Sean is, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Sean together. But as you're reading, you'll see moments where he reaches the halfway point, and this should be a moment of celebration. You should be like, yeah, like I'm halfway. Instead, it's like, not the glass is half empty, but it's, I have so much more to do. Like I have to prepare, I have to, do I need to remove some more weight? Like the winter's coming, the weather's gonna be changing. I know I have more elevation ahead of me. Topography's gonna be changing. It is like such this special operations mindset. They just beat into us that, you're never going to rise to the occasion. You're only gonna fall to your level of training. And as you're telling the story, I see all of these elements, but you don't call them out. Like not one time were you like so on the nose that you're like, I learned this when I was here, and you've never said that. You just explained this process. But I think it's really important for people to know you. So when I walked in, I was like, I could hear your voice, I could hear your words. The way that you talk is the way that you wrote. And having known you for so long, I was just like, it was overwhelming for me because I was like brought back to 2005.
To our conversations, we had so many in basic training where you don't have access to TVs or anything. I think the only TV I saw was when the superstorm hit there. We were like, why is New Orleans flooded right now?
Yeah.
And like those little things. Besides that, we were shining boots together. We had all these conversations. So for you to notice that, that means a lot to me. And I'm glad that my natural voice comes out in the book. 1,000 miles is a long hike. A long trek. It definitely tests the mind, body, and spirit. And having the military background, I started easy because I know what happens when your feet no longer can take you. They're blistered up.
Yeah.
And we would actually sneak into the military. You said sneaking around, and it's only you get in trouble if you get caught, right? But we would go into the military barracks and like get things to like heal our blisters.
Heal is the wrong word. So,
inject
tincture
into our blisters.
we would take hypodermic needles. We would drain the pus out of the blisters, and then we would inject like a super glue. One, because it would kill all of the nerves, and two, it would glue. It wasn't super glue, so don't inject super glue. Tincture benzoin. And it would kill. It would kill all of the bacteria if there was any in there, so you wouldn't get any staph infections or MRSA in your feet. And then it would seal the dead skin back to your other skin, which now no longer had any nerves to it. They wouldn't let you do it, but they'd kind of look away if you did. So
you get caught.
You have two options. One was to voluntarily withdraw and ring the bell to leave one of these attritters, or two, and it was so painful. Do you remember like?
I still have bruises from you, gripping my hand.
Yeah.
So yes,
and
I remember it all.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what goes into these journeys. You can't just show up and think you're going to walk 1,000 miles. You don't think you can go just to do anything and think you're not going to deal with pain and have to overcome. Because I think early in this walk, you realize people were getting injured and they don't have enough time set aside to where they can just take any old time just to heal up. And I think first is like, don't get blisters, so prepare correctly. Because really once we start moving through life, like it's painful and things happen. So, and then we always have to be prepared. And the military backgrounds definitely helped me sort of on the road.
Yeah, boot selection. During SOPC, before you go to Special Forces selection, there were times where all right, take your boots off, take your socks off, put your boots back on, now we're gonna go for a run. And they weren't doing it to get us blisters, they were doing it to condition our boots to our feet and our feet to our boots, and to also condition our feet. And by the time we got to Special Forces selection, it was we were getting more sleep, and I felt like I was getting recovery during Special Forces selection in comparison to what they put us through for the prior couple of months. and that was conditioning our bodies and our brains and our feet and our boots to be able to do this type of thing. So again, it was an understated, when you said, yeah, you know, I was preparing for this, I started slow, I'll make sure my feet were good. What about like equipment selection?
That's where I had been, this is a part of a longer journey. I've been going for 13 months, and I just said things that I wasn't necessarily carrying all the time. But then once I started to walk, I had this 70+ pound bag. I had a yoga mat with me, and the first steps, I'm like, oh man, this is not right. And then by mile 3 or 4, it just gets heavier and heavier. And that's when I went back to my military training. I even mentioned it in the book that ounces equal pounds.
Yeah.
And then to go back and look at everything differently. And it's very much when you're on the road, things that were comfort when you're stationary are no longer comforts anymore. So it's just a whole different mindset. We have to switch it off, and we don't necessarily have that habit here in the States so much to go on these long hikes. Some do. It's more of a Europe. People in Europe know about this, but there is a natural letting go again of what we think we can carry versus what we actually can.
Yeah, there's a great Green Beret started this organization called Go Ruck, and again, not a misnomer like your book. It's literally like go ruck. Like, I want you to put weight on your back and go out and do work. And sitting over here is my buddy Dakota. Hey Dakota. Hey. I love rocking with Dakota because he walks like a Marine. You can actually find a couple of photos of us doing walks along rivers. It is so rare that Americans put weight on and go and move. It's so good for you. It's so great for your bones. It's so great to be outside. You're exercising. You're breathing hard. You know, and especially in a rucking setting, or you know, in this pilgrimage, you know, there are times where you're isolated, but there's also times where there's like you can see there's this community. And when you go in the back of the book where you can download and look at all of your photos, where is that?
Yeah, there's a code in right at the end.
It's like a QR little. So I went on there and I looked through all your photos, and you know, you see this beautiful landscape. And a lot of the historical places that you're talking about, yeah, this is, you know, going to this picture gallery, but I also saw the community. You know, I saw pictures of you with these other pilgrims that were making this incredible walk and this journey. And it is something that exists in the military, and it's when I say it just doesn't exist, it happens all the time. Like, we ruck together, we run together, we PT in the mornings together, we shine our boots together. You know, like there's nothing worse than sitting there and polishing your boots by yourself, compared to sitting down and be like bitching together about our life as we're polishing our boots. Do you remember that Thanksgiving we did?
Is the first one?
The first one.
The first one we had in this house,
This
special house. We had no table to speak of, and this is one of my favorite Thanksgiving memories still to date, is that we put a blanket on the ground, and then we all brought some sort of potluck. And we sat there, Indian style, and just had this amazing conversations throughout the whole night. Yeah, just shared a lot of
Eating
wine.
out of the tin Walmart little trays, like, and then we had obviously we didn't even have plates or real silverware. You know, but those back to like pilgrimage, those are naturally occurring moments. You know, where what are the not the hostels, the places that you stop in a pilgrimage that are designed for pilgrims?
So it's in France, it's called a gîte étape. And then étape is like your daily march.
Yeah.
So there's no like perfect simile, but yeah, it's basically a dormitory style place where you're going to meet people, you're going to conversate, and maybe they know your language. A lot of them don't.
Yeah.
I think more the locals don't know French. They won't stoop down to learn English, but a lot of the younger people have, and you find enough English speakers. My French was so-so. But yeah, to actually be sitting down there and like we were in basic training, you sit down, you eat together, you really get to know these people. And even years after this walk, I got to know them more so than you would know a person during regular work. And you just talk about anything and everything.
Yeah. So you had some historical figures in here. You had, I already messed up the foi?
Sainte Foy.
So Roland, one of my favorite names, and also one of my favorite characters in science fiction slash fantasy, in the Dark Tower series. The hero of that whole entire series is Roland, and he is this ambassador He is this warrior that travels worlds and times and centuries, and clearly his character was built after France's national hero.
Yeah.
Because from battle to battle, this perseverance of not even knowing how to be defeated. He's such not just a talented warrior or a talented leader or this fierce man. And as you're telling this, the history of France's national hero, Roland, it's like, what? And I didn't even know any of this.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you just start going down these rabbit holes of the history of as you're traversing this topography?
So actually, when I walked by this, and I mentioned in the book, there's this little fountain. It says a Fontaine de Roland, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of water. Thank you, whoever Roland is. And it was just these little moments that I didn't really know who he was, but it planted the seed to really go back afterwards. And there was the same thing with Sainte when there's a statue. I'm in Caen, which is halfway through France, and you didn't really know the story. And I feel like as I walked and learned about it, wow, I don't want someone else to experience this without really learning the full backstory. So when I started digging in, and Roland himself, he has now, I think he died in the 800s, and he was during an ambush. And from then on, he became the most selected name of France, even though there's only one historical mention of him that they could ever locate from him. But meanwhile, he had 1,000+ years of where he became not even just the Song of Roland, which I sort of talk about in the book, but also in what was it? In Italy, they had a canto which was Orlando Furioso. And that was, again, it just gave him to another star status. But really, France's national hero, I feel they may know about it, but we don't really remember it. El Cid is the Spanish hero. We know who Zorro is, but we don't really know who this man was who took on, who was exiled from his own kingdom, and then he took on the whole Almoravid empire, all with this little vassalage of soldiers that he had there. And I felt that, like you said, you didn't know this backstory, and I was finding it out, wow, this is fascinating. And then it just went down and down, and then I finally made it into the final product that it is. But I just felt like there's importance that we don't forget.
Yeah, the ones you selected specifically, like Sainte and Roland and Cid, those are, I don't use the word characters, but those men, the characteristics of them, those are so admirable and so needed right now in this era. As their, history seems to be less interesting in this generation, as we were obsessed of learning about, Max Sauvy and learning about World War II and OSS and learning about World War I trench warfare, and the initial insurgencies and what is the initial counterinsurgencies in the Spanish-American War, Cuba during the Cold War, because we had to do these fights, whether in Iraq or Afghanistan. So we had to know this as a requirement for us to be successful here. And now we've had a really nice, easy few years where, good times produce weak men. We might be living in really good times right now, and I think characters like this are so important. Like Sainte Foy, that is a child martyr, would not renounce his beliefs, right?
Her beliefs.
Yeah, her beliefs.
And all she had to do to save her own life was to make a little grain of incense and put it in, and they asked her to donate or to pay homage to Diana, and she wouldn't.
No.
And it's amazing, and then the whole sainthood aspect of it, where she had all these incredible miracles associated with her, very quirky ones that just blew up her personage, all across Europe, and it's just fascinating. But again, it's to talking about right now with women and what they're going through, who better than to look at this Sainte Foy and to hold on to your beliefs for yourself. So, and I think that's for everyone, but these are just figures that they don't necessarily get talked about today, and even Christianity as in all it's done to, I mean, there's a slavery sort of thing that go through from, you know, the Roman Empire, and these are all just sort of worked in there. But it really was the Christian faith who, in the Spanish, in Spain, actually decided that they had theology going over, like, is this okay? You know, so when Europe is the only place that doesn't have slavery by the 1800s, that was largely because of these theologies that were coming out of there that saying, no, it isn't, and then it really went across. So it's not to forget that.
Yeah. So easy to read about the hard stuff that happens, like a child martyr that wouldn't give up her faith, and the second and third order effects of, you know, these amazing heroes. Was cool for you to highlight them. I love the back. For those who choose to dream, may the stars be your guide and lead you to eternity. During your pilgrimage, what was like? You have to read the book to get like the day-to-day life and the day-to-day struggles. Clean my gear, wash my clothes, dry stuff out if it rained on us. You know, try to get my feet dry, maybe explore the town that I'm in for a few hours and get some food before I go back out again. Like, all of those things are happening every single day, but in a brand new location. So you get in kind of this, what felt like a battle rhythm as you go from the one village to the next village. And these villages are set a day's walk apart. And, you know, imagine sun is starting to set. You haven't got to the village yet. Was I walking kind of slow? Was I walking too fast? Like, where's this village? Did I miss it? You know, and then you come over a rise and it's not there. You know, and like, do I have to go to another? Like, do I have to sleep by myself? Like in the woods? You don't know. And that is this journey. That's the pilgrimage. For you, what is next? You know, is that you've lived such a pretty cool life from special forces to working in government contracting, you know, and then this sabbatical to pilgrimage to now being a published author with an amazing book. You know, where are we going now?
I feel really it's I want to be guided and say that for those who dare to dream, may the stars be your guide and lead you to eternity. It's not to necessarily do what everything I want to do, but it's like what does God want for me next? So I hope it's more exploring and telling stories. I feel now that I've talked about Europe, I'd like to explore more of the States. I feel we have this beautiful history here in the United States that gets poo-pooed on way too much, and again, it's losing context. And so when I wrote this book, I tried to be as unbiased as possible to give you, because it does talk about the Reconquista. I don't say it's the Christians were right and the Islam was wrong, but it is interesting just understanding that today, where we were in Afghanistan and all there, like, it is still a holy war to them, whether we decide it's a holy war or not. We are fighting it because that's how they're, and that's all back to the Reconquista and everything, and even before that with Jerusalem. So, but I feel there's a beautiful story that doesn't get told so much around here, and even where I live in Bucks County, there's amazing history all around there from Washington and everything. So I feel like that I'll tell those in some form or fashion. But I definitely feel like for everyone who wants to go out and live their dreams, like it takes courage to leave six-figure jobs here in DC just to go out and say, you know what, like I saw that will never be completely fulfilling. So like just live your life to the best as you can, to lean into it and you know, just enjoy every day, because it's a privilege for us to be here, not just so much to just to have an easy life, because I really feel like that's not why we're here, to have an easy life.
No. Fulfilling, I want people to be full, and your bank account being full is not going to do it. A nice car is not going to do it. Having a nice apartment on DuPont Circle in DC is not going to do it. Like having purpose and having direction and having motivation is going to do it. I'm gonna read a passage out of this book. Please go and get it. Wherever you buy it from, if you go to Amazon and get it, leave a review. get on there, leave a 5-star review, share it with your friends, put it on your social media, tell everybody about it. It's a beautiful book written by a beautiful human that has a beautiful perspective and writes beautifully. So I mean, it's a fun book to go through. But I'll read this and leave you with this. By living the moment, we find solace in the present. While enjoying life's simple pleasures, we connect with our most forgotten faculty, our ability to listen. For in listening to others, whether they speak of their hopes, their dreams, or their struggles, we can understand that we are not alone in our quest for fulfillment. We're all working to make sense of the world, all searching for our place in it. It's a great book. Sean's an amazing guy. 1,000 Miles to Santiago. Follow the Tim Kennedy Book Club. It's tagged on here. I just put in the story the link to get this book on Amazon. Leave a review. Tell everybody about it. Support an amazing veteran that has done amazing things for this country and now is doing amazing things for humanity. So I love you, brother. It's still good seeing you. Of course, I'll make a long time again. Stay safe, stay free, and get 1,000 Miles to Santiago.
That was a wrap for our live interview. After Tim and I caught up a little more off camera, I signed a few copies of my book to give out to the Tim Kennedy Book Club. I'll leave some info on where to find my book in the comments section. Also, Tim wrote all about those early military days. There we were receiving our Green Berets in his best-selling book, Scars and Stripes, so go grab a copy of that for yourself. Also, a special thanks to the Independence Fund, who helped set up this whole event. Tim has a special relationship with the Independence Fund. Their mission is to help restore independence to catastrophically wounded veterans and their families. Go to independencefund.org to learn more about the various programs they champion. And while you're there, please consider making a donation to veterans and families in need. Thanks. Take care.